Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Kính bạch thầy, kính thưa toàn thể đại chúng. Sáng hôm nay mình sẽ thực tập ngồi thiền trước khi mình bắt đầu lễ hàng tuần. Mời đại chúng chọn cho mình một tư thế ngồi cho dễ chịu. Giữ lưng vừa thẳng. Hai bàn tay có thể chồng trên nhau và để trong lòng chân, hoặc để trên hai đầu gối. Mắt của mình có thể nhắm mắt lại, miệng khép lại và mỉm cười nhẹ. Thả lỏng hai vai và buông thơ toàn thân. Dear respected Thầy, dear noble community, this morning we'll be practicing sitting meditation before we start our Sunday service. So we invite you to find yourself a comfortable posture. Make sure your back is upright, your shoulders relax. Your hands can be placed on your lap or on your knees. You may like to close your eyes. Keep a light smile on your face and relax your whole body. Sau khi đại chúng chỉnh tư thế xong, bây giờ chúng ta chú tâm về hơi thở. Để ý những hơi thở ra vào. Mình thở vào, mình nhận biết đây là hơi thở vào. Khi mình thở ra, mình nhận biết đây là hơi thở ra. Vào, ra. Mình thở tự nhiên và mình không cần dồn ép hơi thở. Once you establish your posture, bring all your attention to your breathing. Become aware of your in-breath as you breathe in, and become thở vào. Tôi biết tôi đang thở vào. thở ra, tôi biết tôi đang thở ra. Vào, ra. Breathing in, I'm aware that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware that I'm breathing out. In, out. Thở vào, ý thức toàn thân. Thở ra, buông thư toàn thân. Ý thức buông thư. Aware of my body, I breathe in. Breathing out, I relax my whole body. Aware of my body, relaxing my body. Thở vào, an trú trong hiện tại. Thở ra, giây phút đẹp tuyệt vời. Hiện tại tuyệt vời. Dwelling in the present moment, I breathe in. Breathing out, I know that this is a wonderful moment. Present moment, wonderful moment. và xoa bóp. Please take some time to release and massage your legs. Và xin nhắc nhở đại chúng, vì nào có cell phone, xin nhớ tắt cell phone để mình giữ buổi lễ thanh tịnh và trang nghiêm. A reminder for those who have a cell phone, please make sure you have turned off your cell phone so that we keep the atmosphere of the ceremony serene. Thank you.
Kính mời đại chúng mở kinh trang số 0. Please kneel down, open the chanting book to page 0. Trầm hương đôn sống ngạc mười phương, nguyện kính đức nghiêm từ vô xin chứng tâm thành chúng con. Vần vần khói kết mây lành cúng dường, đạo nhiệm màu đã lan truyền nơi cùng nơi. Nhờ chân lý chúng sanh đều thoát luân hồi, đồng quy kinh quỳ dưới đại sen, dâng hoa thơm tinh khiết màu thắm tươi cành. Đài quang minh sáng huy hoàng trang nghiêm, ơn mười phương điều ngự hào quang an lành. Nhìn đạo uyên chuyên soi khắp cùng quần sanh, phần đạo đồng cùng nhau tu tinh tấn mau yến thành. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Xin cho khói rằm thơm kết thành mây năm sắc, dâng lên khắp mười phương cúng dường vô lượng bụt vô lượng chư Bồ Tát, cùng chư thánh hiền tăng nơi pháp giới dung thông, kết đài sen rực rỡ. Nguyện làm bạn đồng hành trên con đường giác ngộ, xin mọi loài chúng sanh từ bỏ cõi u minh theo đường giới định tuệ, quay về trong tỉnh thức. Chúng con kính dâng hương cúng dường lên Phật và chư vị Bồ Tát. Hôm nay tất cả chúng con phụng đối trước Phật đài, chỉ thành dân hương cúng dường ba ngôi vô thường. Những tâm ôn tụng lời Phật dạy, quyết theo pháp Phật làm lành, báo đền công ơn hóa độ. Nguyện đem công đức lành này, nguyện cho thế giới hòa bình, chúng sanh an lạc. Lại xin kỳ siêu cho các chân linh Lâm Mị Nguyệt Vương Thị Loan Pháp danh Vịnh Thí Tình chữ Hương Linh cho Chu Quan Thái Thông Anh. Pháp danh Tuệ Thông Nguyện Gia Minh, Pháp danh Thiền Giác Ngô Thị Liên, Pháp danh Nguyên Khế Cao Đôn, Pháp danh Minh Định Lê Thị Đâu, Pháp danh Hoàng Lực Hồ Thánh Vũ, Pháp danh Thiền Tri, Phạm Tuấn Anh Vương Âm Tố Vương Khảo Diêm Bùi Hữu Bình Nguyện Văn Vương Nguyện Văn Long, Giáp Văn Nghiêu Huỳnh Thị Thùng Giáp Thị Bẻ Trương Bá Nguyện Văn Đạm Trần Thị Mân, Giáp Thanh Tùng Lê Thị Thôi Nguyện Trung Hưng Giám Thị Lùng, Giáp Quang Vinh Trần Việt Hùng, Pháp danh Huệ Hành Hoàng Thị Gái, Pháp danh Nguyên Thường Phạm Duy Lịch, Nguyện Thị Trâm, Pháp danh Diệu Bá Nguyện Văn Sự, Phạm danh đứng trí dương minh quang, pháp danh tâm quán duyên. Sư rinh hứa kim đồ thì kim hoàng, phạm danh diệu oanh. Dương thị hen phạm quang vinh trần đi, từ tẩm pháp danh chúc nhuần võ thì già. Cung quốc hùng tăng minh sanh, quyền các hương linh nương nhờ tám bảo lực. Nghe kinh thính pháp liệu ngộ vô thường, cầu vang sanh tịnh độ. Hiện tiền kỳ siêu hoa cô tân hoa cố hương linh, huỳnh vắng bào phạm danh thánh pháp. Nguyện chương linh gầm Phật Di Đà, đương phần thọ kỷ. Chúng con thân tâm an lạc, tai chướng tiêu trừ sao nguyện tùy tâm viên mãn. Ngưỡng mong oai đức từ bi Quan Lâm đạo tràng, chứng minh công đức. Nam mô Hương cúng dường Bồ Tát, Nam mô chứng minh sư Bồ Tát, Nam mô đạo tràng hội thượng Phật Bồ Tát. Nhưng tâm kinh lễ phần pháp tăng, thường trụ trong mười phương. Nhưng tâm kinh lễ Đức Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Thế Tôn. Nhưng tâm kinh lễ liệt vì tổ sư qua các thời đại, từ Tây Trúc Việt Nam Đông độ đến hải ngoại. Con vào đây đi. Con đừng mình hỏi. Kính mời đại chúng mở kinh trang số 4. Please turn the chanting book to page 4. We vow to realize its true meaning. Nam mô Đức Bổn Sư Bổn Thích Ca Mâu Ni. Nam mô Đức Bổn Sư Bổn Thích Ca Mâu Ni. Nam mô Đức Bổn Sư Bổn Thích Ca Mâu Ni. Pháp Bổn Cao siêu mẫu niệm cơ duyên mấy đường thọ trì. Xin nguyện đi vào biển tuệ tinh thông giáo nghĩa huyền. Xin đại chúng lắng nghe và chiêm nghiệm Kinh Hải Đảo Tự Thân. Đây là những điều tôi được nghe hồi Bụt đang ở trong khu vườn xoài có nhiều bóng mát bên bờ sông Bạc Đà La ở nước Ma Kiệt Đà. Hồi đó hai vị tôn giả Xá Lợi Phất và Mục Kiền Liên vừa nhập diệt không lâu. Hôm ấy là ngày rằm, có lễ Bố Tát tụng giới. Bụt trải tọa cụ ngồi trước đại chúng. Sau khi đưa mắt quan sát, người cất tiếng: Nhìn đại chúng hôm nay, tôi thấy một khoảng trống lớn. Đó là tại vì hai thầy Xá Lợi Phất và Mục Kiền Liên đã nhập Niết Bàn. Trong giáo đoàn Thanh Văn của ta, hai vị Xá Lợi Phất và Mục Kiền Liên là những người có tài năng đầy đủ nhất về các phương diện thuyết pháp, khuyên bảo, dạy dỗ và biện thuyết. Này quý vị, ở đời có hai thứ tài sản mà người ta thường ưa tìm cầu, đó là tiền tài và pháp tài. Tiền tài là thứ người ta chạy theo người đời để tìm cầu. Pháp tài là thứ người ta có thể đi tìm cầu từ hai thầy Xá Lợi Phất và Mục Kiền Liên. Như Lai là người không còn tìm cầu gì nữa, dù là tiền tài hay pháp tài. Các vị đừng có vì sự kiện hai thầy Xá Lợi Phất và Mục Kiền Liên nhập diệt rồi mà u sầu và khổ não. Như một cây đại thụ thì có đủ rễ, thân, lá, cành, hoa và quả, sum xuê và tươi mát. Nhưng ta biết những nhánh lớn sẽ bị tàn lụi và gãy đổ trước những nhánh nhỏ. Cũng như trên dãy núi Châu Báu kia, đỉnh cao nhất lại là đỉnh sẽ sụp đổ trước. Trong đoàn thể đại chúng tu học của Như Lai, Xá Lợi Phất và Mục Kiền Liên là hai vị học giả lớn. Vì vậy, nếu hai vị có nhập Niết Bàn trước, đó cũng là chuyện đương nhiên. Cho nên tôi mới khuyên quý vị là chớ sinh tâm u sầu và khổ não. Tất cả các hiện tượng nào có sinh khởi, có tồn tại, có tác dụng trên các hiện tượng khác. Nói khác hơn là tất cả các pháp hữu vi đều phải theo luật vô thường để đi đến hoại diệt. Nếu muốn chúng còn mãi, còn hoài mà không hoại diệt, đó là một chuyện không thể xảy ra. Tôi đã từng nhắc nhở quý vị nhiều lần rằng những gì ta trân quý hôm nay, ngày mai thế nào ta cũng phải buông bỏ và xa lìa. Chính tôi chẳng bao lâu nữa cũng sẽ ra đi. Vì vậy, quý vị phải thực tập làm hải đảo tự thân, biết nương tựa hải đảo chính mình mà đừng nương tựa vào một kẻ nào khác. Phải thực tập nương tựa vào hải đảo chánh pháp, biết nương tựa vào chánh pháp, chứ đừng nương tựa vào một hải đảo nào khác hay một ai khác. Điều này có nghĩa là thực tập an trú trong phép quán niệm nội thân, trong nội thân, sử dụng các bài tập một cách chuyên cần để nuôi dưỡng chánh trí và chánh niệm, để điều phục và chuyển hóa những đam mê và âu lo trên đời. Và cũng có nghĩa là thực tập an trú trong phép quán niệm ngoại thân trong ngoại thân, sử dụng các bài tập một cách chuyên cần để nuôi dưỡng chánh trí và chánh niệm, để điều phục và chuyển hóa những đam mê và âu lo trên đời. Đó gọi là phép quay về nương tựa hải đạo tự thân, để nương tựa nơi hải đạo tự thân. Quay về nơi hải đạo chánh pháp, để nương tựa nơi hải đạo chánh pháp, mà không nương tựa vào một hải đạo nào khác hay một vật nào khác. Nghe Bụt dạy kinh này, các vị khất sĩ đều vui mừng làm theo.
Discourse on taking refuge in oneself. I heard these words of the Buddha one time when the Lord was staying in the mango grove in the cool shade of the mango trees along the bank of a river in the land of Magda. The elders Shariputra and Mokkayana had recently passed away. It was the full moon day of the Upasata ceremony, and the precepts were recited. The Buddha spread out his sitting mat and sat facing towards the community. After looking out at those gathered, he said, "As I look at our community, I see a large space left by Venerable Shariputra and Mokkayana. In our Sangha, these venerables were the monks who were the most eloquent in giving Dharma talks, encouraging and instructing all the other monks, nuns, and lay people. O monks, people seek two kinds of riches, material riches and the riches of the Dharma. In their search for material riches, they can go to worldly people. In their search for the riches of the Dharma, they could always go to Venerable Shariputra and Mokkayana. The Tathagata is someone who is not searching for anything, whether it is material or the Dharma. O monks, do not be sad or anxious because Shariputra and Mokkayana have passed into nirvana. On large trees, filled with leaves, sumptuous fruits and flowers, the largest branches also have to break. On jeweled mountains, the highest peaks also have to erode. In the Sangha of the Tathagata, the Venerable Shariputra and Mokkayana were the greatest students. So it's natural that these venerables would enter nirvana first. Do not give rise to feelings of sorrow or anguish. All phenomena that are born, exist, and are subject to the influence of other phenomena. In other words, all phenomena that are composite must abide by the law of impermanence and eventually cease to exist. They cannot exist internally without someday being destroyed. Everything we cherish and hold dear today, we will have to let go of and be separated from in the future. In not too long a time, I will also pass away. Therefore, I urge you to practice being an island unto yourself, knowing how to take refuge in yourself, and not taking refuge in anyone or anything else. Practice taking refuge in the island of the Dharma. Know how to take refuge in the Dharma, and do not take refuge in any other island or person. Meditate on the body in the body, nourishing right understanding and mindfulness to master and transform your cravings and anxieties. Observe the elements outside the body in the elements outside the body, nourishing right understanding and mindfulness to master and transform your cravings and anxieties. That is the way to take refuge in the island of self, to return to yourself in order to take refuge in the Dharma, and not to take refuge in any other island or thing. When the bhikkhus heard the Buddha offer this teaching, they were all very happy to put it into practice.
Xin đại chúng mở kinh trang số 8. Please turn to page 8, the Refuge chant, văn quy nguyện. Trầm hương sông ngát điền, sen nở bụng hiền thân, pháp giới thành thanh tình, chúng sanh lắng nghĩa trần, đệ tử tâm thành hướng về ta. cõi mê, đưa con trở về sống cuộc đời tình thân thân là đoàn thể đẹp cùng đi trên đường vui tu tập giải thoát làm an lạc cuộc đời. Đệ tử nương nhờ tam bảo trên con đường học đạo, biết tam bảo của tự tâm nguyện xin chuyên cần làm sáng lòng viên hồng quy nguyện theo hơi thở nụ cười tươi nguyện hồng nhìn của đời bạn có mắt quang chiếu nguyện xin tìm hiểu nỗi khổ của mọi loài tâm từ bi hành thi xa sáng cho người thêm niềm vui chiều giúp người bất hồ. Đệ tử nguyện sống cuộc đời thiếu dùng nếp sống lành mạnh an hòa cho thân thể kiềm khương. Nguyện ru bỏ âu lo hồng tha thứ bao dung cho tâm tư nhẹ nhõm. Đệ tử xin nguyện ơn sâu đền báo ơn cha mẹ ơn thầy ơn mẹ bạn chúng sanh nguyện tu hồng tinh chuyên cho cây vi chi nở hoa mong một ngày mai có khả năng cứu độ muôn loài vừa ra ngoài cõi khổ. Xin nguyện bổn pháp tăng chứng minh gia hộ cho đệ tử chúng con viên thành đại nguyện. Đại chúng mở trang 22, page 22. Nguyện ngày lành đêm lành ngày đêm sáu thời đều an lành trong mỗi giây mỗi phút cầu ơn tam bảo luôn che chở. Nam mô Đức Bồ Tát Thiêu Tác Giác Kiết Tường. Nam mô Đức Bồ Tát Thiêu Tác Giác Kiết Tường. Nam mô Đức Bồ Tát legs before we stand up. In gratitude to our parents, our ancestors, and our nations, we bow deeply to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha in 10 directions. Đệ tử chúng con nhớ ơn cha mẹ liệt vị tổ tiên, cúi đầu kính lễ tam bảo khắp 10 phương. In gratitude to all our teachers, those who support us in our daily life, we bow deeply to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha in 10 directions. Đệ tử chúng con nhớ ơn các bậc sư trưởng tinh thí đàn na, cúi đầu kính lễ tam bảo khắp 10 phương. In gratitude to all living beings, animals, vegetables, and minerals, we bow deeply to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha in 10 directions. Đệ tử chúng con nhớ ơn mọi loài chúng sanh, cây cỏ đất đá, cúi đầu kính lễ tam bảo khắp 10 phương. Kính mời đại chúng an tọa. Please take a seat. And as usual, today we have 2 Dhamma talks. The first one in English will be given by a brother Chân Tạng, and after that will be the Vietnamese talk. So please stay calm to join for the Dhamma talk this morning. Thank you. Thưa đại chúng, như thường lệ, chúng ta sẽ có 2 buổi pháp thoại. Bây giờ cho bắt đầu pháp thoại bằng tiếng Anh. Hôm nay thầy Chân Tạng sẽ chia sẻ. Cảm ơn đại chúng.
Nam mô A Di Đà Phật. Con kính bạch trên thầy, kính thưa quý thầy, quý sư cô cùng toàn thể đại chúng. Hôm nay con được có cơ hội chia sẻ bằng tiếng Anh với các bạn trẻ. Thì trước khi con bắt đầu bài chia sẻ hôm nay, thì con kính mời đại chúng ta cùng nhau chắp hai tay lại và đồng niệm danh hiệu của Đức Phật 3 lần. So please, dear friends, join me in joining our palms together to recite the name of the Buddha 3 times. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Dear respected Thai, dear aunties, uncles, dear brothers, sisters, dear friends, today is the 24th of July. We're at Trúc Lâm Monastery for our Sunday service. How are you doing today? Wonderful. We just finished at Oneself Meditation Center a retreat for our teen friends, young adults as well. It took us 5 days and we had a lot of fun and we learned a lot of things together, and I was very humbled by that experience. Having the chance to be with all of the teenagers, the young adults, as well as the children, the monastics, the monks, and the nuns, we also get very nourished from that experience. So today, we come back here to Trúc Lâm Monastery to have our regular Sunday service. And we just finished the retreat. We'll have more events coming up at Oneself Meditation Center. So this morning I was sitting on the car on the ride to here, and I was just staring into space, thinking of what to share. And eventually something came to me that is probably one of my favorite things to think about, one of my favorite things to talk about. And I was really afraid that I wasn't gonna be able to think of something or to deliver something wonderful to you, but here's something that I personally practice and is one of my favorite things to practice, and I hope that you will enjoy this sharing too. So, dear friends, as we know, in the Buddhist teachings, we have the Buddha, our teacher, and besides from having the Buddha, we also have the Bodhisattvas, which we can kind of think of them as like the helpers of the Buddha. So the word Buddha means awakening, it means awareness, it means enlightenment, it means the enlightened one. So the Buddha is the one who has touched awareness. He lives in awareness. He has reached the goal of enlightenment. So we call him the enlightened one. The enlightened one is the one who is able to see things clearly as they are. So let's say, for example, me and you, we're standing, we're sitting in different places. So if we look at this pineapple on the altar here, you will see a different side of the pineapple, and I will see a different side of the pineapple. So if somebody's standing from the top and they look down, then they also see a different part of the pineapple, right? They can only see the leafy part of the pineapple. And so me, I see the right side. You, my friends on the left, you see the left side. In the front, you see the front side. In the back, you see the back side. But the Buddha, not only does he see the pineapple from all directions, but he's also able to see the pineapple as it really is. He's able to see through the pineapple, through the nature of the pineapple. So when we look at the pineapple, when we look at a flower, we just understand that it's a flower. But the Buddha understands the nature of the flower. The nature of the flower is impermanence, right? The nature of me, of you, is impermanent. And impermanent just means that nothing is forever. The beauty of the flower only lasts for a certain amount of time. And everything in life that has a form that we can touch, we can feel, we can see, we can hear, we can smell, can taste, can touch. All of those things are temporary, because if there's coming together, there is breaking apart. It's like a vase. If you can make a vase, you can break a vase. And so the Buddha is able to see the impermanent nature of the flower. So when the flower withers one day, let's say it's on the altar there, the Buddha is just sitting there smiling. The flower is beautiful, the Buddha smiles. But one day when the flower becomes a little bit wilty, it becomes a little bit brown, the Buddha also smiles because he understands the nature of the flower. So the Buddha said that in each and every one of us, we have the capacity to become like the Buddha. So the Buddha doesn't suffer when the flower becomes wilted. The Buddha doesn't suffer when the flower decays. But we often, we go through some suffering. when the things around us change. And that's perfectly normal. That's human nature. It's all right. It's okay to suffer when things change. But if we understand that things change, we touch that reality, then we suffer much less. Zen Master Thich had a quote that I really like, and it is, if you know how to suffer, you suffer much less. So let's say when our loved one passes away, unfortunately, fortunately, we are all born into this life. And we all have people that we love. But unfortunately, everyone at a certain point has to pass away. And it doesn't matter how rich we are. It doesn't matter how good looking we are. It doesn't matter what school we went to. Nothing matters. In the end, everyone has to let everything go. So what really matters is how we treat each other, how we choose to live our lives, and how we choose to treat ourselves. So in the end, we need to find the Dharma, the truth within the law of impermanence. And the Buddha is the one who is able to see that. So the definition of the Buddha, we can move aside. Now, the Buddha's helpers. Every good doctor needs a helper. A doctor cannot function, a doctor cannot run a clinic on his own. Maybe the Buddha can run a clinic on his own, but a normal doctor can't run a clinic on his own. So he needs bodhisattvas to help. This is Bodhisattva Guayang Te Am. And she represents the quality of love, of compassion, of listening deeply. And the word Bodhi in Bodhisattva means awakening, like in the word Buddha. Bodhi means awakening, aware. And Sattva means living being. So any living being that has the capacity to live in awareness, any living being that has touched enlightenment can be a bodhisattva. So it either means an awakened being who has touched enlightenment or awakening, or someone who is bent on awakening. Either they have already reached the goal of Buddhahood or bodhisattvahood and they choose to stay and help other people, or they have yet to reach the goal of being a Buddha, but they choose to help people along the way. We can be both of those things. Who here has volunteered to read with little kids before? I did it one time. Yeah. So you know how to read. You're super good at reading. You're fluent, and that's why instead of doing something else, maybe hanging out with your friends or doing something that you want, you sacrifice your time to teach a child how to read. So the bodhisattvas are alike. They're like our bigger brothers and sisters. And today we will learn about a very special bodhisattva called Saripariputa. Saripariputa. Everyone say it with me. Saripariputa. Yeah, Saripariputa. And Sarapariputa's name translates into the one who never disparages, the one who never overlooks, the one who never underestimates. So there's different levels of bodhisattva. There's the beginning bodhisattva who's just on the path. There's bodhisattvas who have been bodhisattvas for a longer time, so they know more about being a bodhisattva. They're more skillful about being a bodhisattva. And Saripariputa is one of the great bodhisattvas who have reached the definition of a bodhisattva. So has touched the reality of awakening, of awareness, of love and compassion, and wants to bring that to other people. And we'll see why. So, have you heard your parents chant at home before? Anyone here know about Tuần Pháp Thoại or the Lotus Sutra? No? Okay. Well, you know about it today, so that's good. So in Tuần Pháp Thoại, in the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha tells a story. He tells a very beautiful story. And it starts out with, once in the past, a long time ago, there was a Buddha named King of Majestic Sounds. And one translation that I really like, they translated his name as Awesome Sound King Buddha. So this Buddha, his name was King of Majestic Sounds. And Every Buddha comes into being in this world, teaches people, helps people, and then at a certain point, when everything is done, when they've completed everything, they say goodbye. And they enter into nirvana. So after the Buddha taught, and he skillfully taught everyone accordingly to their capacity, he passed away into nirvana. So something that we can learn from this Buddha already is teaching everyone according to their capacity. In the Lotus Sutra, there's also an example of the rain. You know, when it rains, there's a big storm, and there's a lot of rain falling from the sky. The little plants take a little bit of water. The big trees take a big amount of water, right? So according to the particular plant or the particular tree, that plant or tree will absorb that amount of water. And the people around us are the same thing. Some people just don't have the capacity. It's like you're expecting a small 5-year-old to understand the math of someone who's doing math in university. It's very, very difficult. So everyone has their own capacity. I shared this yesterday with someone that in each of us we have a garden. Me and you, we all have a garden in our hearts. And let's say in your garden you plant tulips, and you plant lavender, and you plant many, many varieties of beautiful flowers. But in my garden, I don't have those flowers, because in my garden, the soil is dry, it's hard. There's no water, there's no source of rain, there's no sunshine. So how can you expect me to offer you a flower? How can you expect me to offer you freshness if inside of me I don't have any freshness myself? So the people around us are the same thing. That's why Tai always teaches us to accept more than expect, to love more than to expect from other people. So the Buddha gave his teachings, gave his love to all these beings in a skillful way. So let's say if he knows that you're allergic to mangoes, he won't give you mangoes. But he knows that you like bananas, he'll give you bananas. So that's skillfully being able to help the people around us. And after that Buddha passed away, something happened in his Sangha, his community of monks. So long after the Buddha passed away, there started to be some internal conflict, and the monks started to be a little bit too proud and overbearing. So they misused their power in the Sangha. A bit of corruption happening in the Buddha Sangha. And from that corruption, from that chaos, a precious gem was born in the Buddhist community, which was Sarabhariputta. A very, very kind, gentle, and truthful monk. You guys ever see the image of a lotus? The lotus is a kind of flower that only blooms in mud. It won't bloom in any other kind of fresh water. And even when the lotus grows from the mud, when it reaches the surface and it blossoms into its flower, it doesn't have any trace of mud on it. And if you've ever smelled a lotus before, the lotus smells very, very, very nice. So we are much the same. We are a lotus flower in this world full of mud. There's a lot of negativity around us sometimes. But what we can do is we can use that dirt, we can use that mud, use that negativity to become a beautiful flower. And when we blossom, if we can do that, if we can survive up to the point where we open and we blossom in the sun, our fragrance will pervade everywhere, and people will smell our kindness, our compassion, our love towards others. They'll be more comfortable around us. We'll attract bees, we'll attract bugs, dragonflies. But first we have to be able to take in the nutriments. And the nutriments aren't always so friendly and fresh. Sometimes it's mud. So, like in this situation, Sarabhariputta was born. I remember one time I was a bit sad because I was living in Plum Village, and I was very inspired by Zen Master Thich and his teachings. And I felt like I had a little bit of like an inferiority complex. Not really, but like I thought, wow, Tai is so great, and look at me. Why can't I be like him? I wish I was born in his time. And then one of the monastic brothers, he told me, hey, it's okay. He said, thời thế sinh anh hùng. Thời thế sinh anh hùng means that particular time will make a particular type of hero. And after he told me that, he said, Zen Master Tejikhan was born in a time of war, where he was born in a time of poverty, so his heart became very open, wanting to give, wanting to help, wanting to serve. And he became more strong and determined because of all of the experiences that he went through. So it's okay if you don't turn out the same as him. We don't expect you to. But then I went back to my room and I thought about it and I said, thời thế sinh anh hùng. The particular time makes a particular kind of hero. And I said, what about our time? We have everything. We have enough food, enough clothing, we have social media, we have the internet. If I really, really wanted to learn about the Buddha or the Dharma, I could just go on Google and type up the Buddha, and so many things pop up. So in our time and age, we have everything, my friends. We have everything. We have, if you look into yourself, you have a roof over your head, you have clothing on your body. Back then, people had to go through poverty. They didn't have enough food to eat. They were worried about their meals. And now here we are, not having to worry about the food that we eat. And sometimes we even push that food around. So what can we do to use this time, use this period to the best of its use? We're very, very lucky to be born in this time and place. So we can say to ourselves, anh hùng sinh anh hùng. A hero will make a hero be born. If you have the seed of a hero in you, you will become a hero. Like the Buddha said, all of us have Buddha nature. That means we will become a Buddha. And we have to believe in that, sincerely believe in that. One day we all will become Buddhas. So don't ever feel like you are not as good as other people. Don't ever feel like you are inferior to other people, but you are beautiful in every way that you are. Everyone is a Buddha to be. So, Sarabhariputta was very special because whenever he saw someone, he would join his palms, look at that person, bow very, very deeply, sometimes even place all of his limbs on the ground, and he'd say, I deeply respect you, and I do not dare to underestimate or overlook you. Why? Because you practice the path of a bodhisattva, and one day you will become a Buddha. And as a monk, he didn't read any sutras, he didn't read any kin, he didn't tongkin or anything like that. All he did was he went around and he just bowed to people. Oh, one day you will become a Buddha, one day you will become a Buddha, you're a bodhisattva, one day you will become a Buddha. So he never dared to look down on anyone. Sometimes even when people were standing at a distance, he would say, hey, one day you will become a Buddha because you're walking on the bodhisattva path. I dare not to underestimate you. And you know what happens when you're a little bit funny. People think you're crazy, right? So everybody thought that Sarabhariputta was completely bonkers. He was nuts. So it says here, an excerpt from the sutra. The monk did not devote his time to reading or reciting the scriptures, but simply went about bowing to people. If he happened to see any of the four kinds of believers far off in the distance, he would purposely go to where they were staying, and he would say, I would never dare to disparage you, because you are all certain to attain Buddhahood. Among the four kinds of believers, there were those who gave way to anger. So some people were quite annoyed by what he did. This guy always doing this weird thing and just bowing to people saying, hey, one day you'll become a Buddha. And because they didn't have enough understanding in them, and they had hate towards him. Some people would curse at him. Some people would slander him, would yell at him. Some people would put him down. But Sarabhariputta still did the same thing and said the same thing. Many, many years passed, and he was constantly being abused by these people and cursed by these people. Sometimes they even took sticks, they took bricks, tiles, rocks, stones, and they threw it at him. They beat him, they clubbed him. But Saripariputa, in the feet of all of that pain, all of that suffering inflicted onto his body, he still said the same thing, and he still did the same thing. He continued to call out in a loud voice, even as he ran away from everyone, because he didn't want to be hurt. He said, "I would never dare to disparage you. You are all certain to be Buddhas." And because he always spoke those words, people called him the one who never underestimated others. So what can we learn from Saripariputa? His quality of not underestimating other people. Everyone around us has a different story. Everyone around us deserves respect. Because we don't know, in this room, all these people, whether they're your family members or they're your cousin or brother or sister, everyone experiences life in a difficult way, and everybody suffers. And the scars, the suffering, is what we learn to respect. That person's experiences, that person for who they are, is what we learn to respect. In the retreat, we had a chance to do Dharma sharing, which is where we sit and we share about our troubles and difficulties. And almost all of the kids in my group were moved to tears. Because we started to realize that we all have so much of the same fundamental suffering. Whether it's problems with parents, with fitting in, with feeling that we are worth something. We all felt like, after everyone shared, we felt like, wow, I have the same pain and sorrow as these people. So after the Dharma sharing, I said, you see, brothers and sisters, this is why we have to love each other more. There's already enough hate in the world. We need to give our love to other people more, because that's what the world needs. When we, in our minds, if we respect other people, our minds will be very beautiful. But if we don't, our minds won't be very beautiful. There's a funny story of a guy named Tô Đông Pha, Su Dong Po, and Master Phật Ấn Phổ Ying. And Master Phật Ấn and Tô Đông Pha was a poet. So he was very, very smart and intellectual, maybe a bit arrogant sometimes, and he was really good friends with the Venerable Master Phật Ấn. They'd always sit and talk the Dharma with each other, share stuff with each other, talk about the wonderful things about life and all the deep philosophical things. And one day, they sat and meditated beside each other. And Master Phật Ấn was sitting in meditation, and Tô Đông Pha was sitting in meditation. But the thing is, Tô Đông Pha, the poet, he always lost every time they talked about something or disagreed on a certain viewpoint, and he would always find out that Master Phật Ấn is always right. So eventually he held this grudge against Master Phật Ấn. He always wanted to win, to be better than him, to show him that, I'm just as good as you. So one time they were sitting in meditation, the two men sitting together, and the poet asks Master Phật Ấn, "What do I look like?" And Master Phật Ấn said, "Wow, brother, you look like a Buddha." And then Master Phật Ấn smiled and he said, "Well, what do I look like?" And he says, "You look like a pile of poo." And when the poet was able to say this, he was very proud of himself. He said, "Finally, I finally got this guy after so many years of losing to him. Finally, I can rub it in his face." So he goes home and he brags to his younger sister, "Yeah, I called Master Phật Ấn a pile of poo this morning, a pile of cow poo." And she says, "Oh no, you lost." And he said, "What? But I won. After all these years of being ridiculed by him, I finally rubbed it in his face." And she said, "No, Master Phật Ấn won because he saw you as a Buddha. That means in his mind, there's only Buddha. But you lost because you saw him as a pile of poo. That means in your mind, there's just a big turd." So the more we see the people around us as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the more beautiful we become. The more we bring out the qualities of a Buddha inside of us. Another story about Master Phật Ấn and Tô Đông Pha is the poet made a poem. He said, "The 8 winds cannot move me as I sit in meditation," or something along the lines of that. And he asked one of his servants to bring this poem to Master Phật Ấn, and Master Phật Ấn just took a pen and he wrote the word fart. And he said, "Bring it back to Tô Đông Pha." And when he brought the poem back to Tô Đông Pha, he was furious. He slammed his hand. He said, "How dare you call me a fart? How dare you ridicule my poem?" So he takes the ferry to go all across the river to meet Master Phật Ấn. And then Master Phật Ấn says, "Oh, hello. What are you here for?" And he says, how could you ridicule me?" And he says, "Well, I heard that you said the 8 winds cannot move you, but I farted once and it blasted you all the way over here." So we see sometimes in the feet of our anger, we lose our humility. We lose our clear-mindedness. So, in the end, we can see through the story of Master Phật Ấn and Tô Đông Pha that we respect other people. And the more we respect other people, the more we bring the beautiful qualities out inside of ourselves. That's why Sadapariputta always bows to other people, always very sincere to other people. You see, when you join your right hand and your left hand together to stand in front of the Buddha, that represents your body and mind becoming one. "With all my body and mind, I bow to you, a worthy person, worthy of every kind of respect, love, and care there is in this world." And just to, before I end, I just want to tell another story that I really like. I'm sorry, I'm all about stories, but I think it's entertaining, you know? So, one time, all the 5 fingers were arguing with each other. The thumb, the pointer finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky finger. They said, "I'm better." And the other one said, "No, I'm the best." The thumb said, "I'm the best because when people want to praise others, they stick me up. Or when they want to express that something is wonderful and delicious, they stick me up." And then the pointer finger says, "No, I'm the best because people rely on me to show other people things. I point at things. Let's say if you want to see something, you have to use me and point at that particular direction." And then the middle finger says, "I'm the best because when I'm angry, people use me to flip other people off." And then the ring finger says, "No, I'm the best because I'm the finger of love. When people get married and they entrust their whole lives to each other, they use me as the finger to wear the ring." And the pinky was the very, very, very last one to express something. And the pinky said, "I'm not sure, but when people stand in front of the Buddha and join their palms together into a lotus, I get to be the first one to stand in front of all of you guys." So the small things are the most beautiful. The more we lower ourselves, the more humble we are, the more beautiful we become. As you can see how beautiful the pinky was in this story. So, you know, dogs and cats, they're okay when they're old or they're grown up, right? Humans are okay looking when they're grown up, but babies are so cute. Dogs, when they're puppies, kittens are so cute. Why? Because they're small, right? So the smaller you are, the more lovable. The more humble you are, the more lovable you will be to other people. So we can learn the practice of humility from Sadapariputta and never to underestimate others. The story of Sadapariputta is a little bit long, but just to wrap it up, I want to mention one last point that Sadapariputta was none other than Shakyamuni Buddha. In one of his past lives, he was Sadapariputta. One time I saw a video of a temple, and instead of having a statue of Kuan Yin, or Maitreya, the big belly Buddha, the laughing Buddha, to greet the people when they come into the temple, they had a statue of Sadapariputta, just very, very, very kind, loving statue, smiling and joining his palms like this. And I hope that maybe one day at Westlock we can have a statue like that of Sadapariputta by the gate to welcome everyone into the temple. So before we end, let's read the passage for invoking the name of Sadapariputta. It's written by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, and he based it off of this chapter of the Lotus Sutra. So may I invite everyone to find a comfortable posture, close your eyes, and visualize this very kind, loving, and simple Bodhisattva. We invoke your name, Sadapariputta. We aspire to learn your way of looking deeply with the eyes of non-discrimination in order to see the qualities of others, the true qualities of others. Whenever you meet anyone, you bow respectfully and say in appreciation, I respect you deeply. You are a future Buddha. We vow to look deeply into ourselves, to recognize the positive qualities that are there, to accept and to love ourselves. We vow only to water positive seeds in ourselves and in those around us. By doing so, our thoughts, words, and deeds will give rise to self-confidence and acceptance of ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, our brothers, sisters, mother, father, all those who we know. We vow to look deeply with the eyes of non-discrimination, to see that the joy and success of the other person is also our joy and success. We vow to behave and to speak with humility and respect. We vow to practice loving speech to help people who underestimate themselves see that they are the wonders of the universe. We know that only when we are able to transcend the barriers of a separate self shall we be able to transform the superiority, inferiority, and equality complexes and realize true happiness and freedom. So dear brothers and sisters, you can open your eyes. And once again, I would like to thank everyone. And I hope that we all can practice this quality of humility, of respect, of giving love to ourselves, accepting ourselves, giving love to others, and accepting others. And if we can all do this, together we can make the world a more beautiful place. It all starts with ourselves. Sometimes we look too much outwards, but if we look inwards, we will find that we need to love ourselves more. We need to have ways to improve ourselves at the same time. So I hope that we all can be Sadapariputta's assistant and walk on this path together. Thank you so much for your listening. Yeah. So dear brothers and sisters, dear friends, if you would like English translation for Tai's Dharma talk, then please raise your hand. Don't be shy, don't be scared. Please be confident, raise your hand, and we will bring you headphones which you can listen to, and there will be simultaneous translation. Thank you.
Soon you have the headphone, just put on your ear so the brother can test the voice, the sound. Anh còn bộ nào? So soon you have your headphone, just try to test the voice, the sound. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Kính thưa toàn thể đại chúng, hôm nay là sáng Chủ nhật, ngày 24 tháng 7 năm 2022. Chúng ta đang ở tại tu viện Trúc Lâm trong giờ sinh hoạt Phật Pháp hàng tuần. Đại chúng sáng nay có khỏe không? Thưa đại chúng ta vừa xong 5 ngày khóa tu chục tiếng, lái 3 chiếc xe, 25 bạn trẻ. Thành thử ra đó là một cái điều mà rất là hay và rất là tốt. Và các phụ huynh rất là quan tâm đến cái đời sống của con em, cho nên không có quản ngại đường xa, khuyến khích, thậm chí năn nỉ các em đi tham dự khóa tu. Mà hiện nay còn một gia đình ở Seattle còn đang ngồi đây, còn tiếc nuối nghe buổi pháp thoại rồi mới chịu lên đường đi về, mặc dù là trở về Seattle 20 tiếng, 10 mấy tiếng, 20 tiếng. Như vậy